Welcome to the Henry Harrison Podcast, Entrepreneur, Business, and Finance. And today we have one of my oldest friends. We have known each other since we were, who knows, because our parents were best friends, and her parents lived next door to my grandmom, and my brother and God bless his soul, and your brother were the same year at the same high school, best friends, and we were friends from elementary school all the way well till now. So it's just really fun to have that shared history. And Dr. Meredith was always a very good student and went to some of the best schools in the country, Duke, Cornell, University of Virginia. And she's also become an entrepreneur more recently in her life after continuing her medical career. I want to welcome to the show today my good friend, Francis. Hello, Francis.
Good morning, Henry. Good to see you.
So let's start with what you're doing now, because you have two different things going on, and both entrepreneurial, which is probably most doctors now are not entrepreneurial and not doing what you're doing. So I know everybody would be very interested in hearing about what you're doing.
Thanks for asking. The world of entrepreneur is very new to me, really, in the last few years. And I'm still pretty wet behind the ears, but having to get smart fast and learn fast from smart people. So I had been in traditional medicine and really ridden the coattails of a lot of brilliant doctors who handled the business side for years. And then things changed in life, and I found myself needing to be in a practice scenario that expressed more who I was and how I wanted to practice. So I started my own business called Stribling Springs Wellness, which is a functional medicine practice that is in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, Raleigh and Cary. So we see patients. We take very good care of our patients and treat them like family. And we know our patients very well. So in a way, it harkens back to what you and I never knew, Henry, but the world of the doctor many years ago who would come to your house sometimes, who knew your family, who knew everything going on with your life. So I felt I needed to express myself in my practice in a way that better reflected who I was. So that was Stribling Springs Wellness. So that's one hat that I wear. And the other hat that I'm wearing is a company that I'm co-founder of called MyConcussionDR. And our mission is to spread awareness of cutting edge concussion strategies, how to best handle the changes that are happening in the brain immediately after concussion, and how to deal with getting the brain and the body back into balance. And that's something that people don't know is out there. So we're trying to spread awareness of that. And in that role, we've developed a product that is meant for the hours immediately after head impact to do just that.
Talk a little bit about the distinction for people that don't know of a functional medicine practice versus a traditional family practice in today's world. Because I know, as you said, it's evolved a lot. It's not like the small town doctor in the old movies these days.
Yes.
It's mostly, there may still be a few, but
Yes, there are some out there. There still are. Functional medicine, and I'm going to speak in the primary care world, like your regular doctor, right? As I said, there's parts of our medical system that have evolved and really attained brilliance in true cures. Just we cure infectious disease. So I'll get to your question in a minute, but I just want to make sure I'm not speaking about this piece of our medical system that is brilliant and works really well. There are areas in cancer care, trauma care. Think I get hit by a bus, right? What happens? Infectious disease cures, interventional cardiology, interventional gastroenterology, brilliant cures, amazing. Where we fail is preventative care. That's what's fallen apart gradually over time. So that is where functional medicine differs, in that functional medicine is focused on optimizing wellness in all facets, which takes time and takes actually getting to know your patient. And the piece that functional medicine has brought to the table to add on, to layer on to what that traditional doctor who came to your home for Sunday dinner and knew your whole family, functional medicine has layered onto that this additional piece of these tools that allow me to see the body as a connected, beautiful creature where each system talks to each other. And I have tools to be able to understand that and recognize the patterns and then be able to present them back to the patient and say, does this feel right to you? So it's a very intimate conversation with the patient where I'm not the fixer, they are. I'm a translator of what the body's trying to tell them. So it is different from your old family doctor from 20, 50, 100 years ago. But the essence of that is there, plus these new tools that allow us to translate what the body is trying to communicate.
As an example, I'm guessing, because I know a little bit about it, I see a chiropractor on a regular basis, and he does have a doctor that works with him. It's not exactly functional medicine, but it's not always just about the back, which is what people traditionally think about. So I'm thinking people have something that's not working. Like they're going to doctors and they have this ongoing problem, and they say, I want to try something different. And they get a referral because you've explained that most of your patients come from referrals. You got to see Dr. Francis, Dr. Meredith, she's terrific. And they come to you because what they're doing isn't helping, or they can't get over it. And then many times it seems you're able to make a big difference.
Yes. And chiropractors, they were taught, chiropractors and DOs, doctor of osteopathy, they're taught from inside out, that things happen from the inside out. That's from the way I was taught as a traditional MD. So chiropractors tend to be very ahead of the game when it comes to preventative medicine and wellness. So that experience that you had, it's not always about the neck or the back, but hey, what's going on in your life? And hey, what other things are going on that have gotten your body out of balance? So it is a different approach, from more of an inside out approach, root cause approach, rather than a Band-Aid approach.
You're approaching that as well, but you're also an MD, a doctor. You can prescribe medicine if it's
Yes.
appropriate.
Yes.
And all the things that you are a normal doctor, but it's a functional practice. So they would come to you because they're not happy with their health.
Correct.
And what they've done in the past hasn't worked. And then you take a new path and you're getting great results, is from what I hear.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to just clarify that, because I'm not the one making it happen. I'm not the fixer, right? It's the patient. And so I can translate, I can create a roadmap. I work hand in hand with a health coach, and she does way more than that. I'm not going to go into that, but the arrows in her quiver are many. So we're providing a roadmap, guidance, a hand to hold. I'm not doing the heavy lifting, the patients are, but often my office is the first place where they've ever been heard, where they've been to 15 doctors over 15 years and specialists, and they don't feel better. And they're told, your labs look good, you look fine, you're fine. How about some Prozac? And they get feeling like people are looking at them like, oh, honey, it's all in your head. Take this pharmaceutical to fix what's in your head, not real. The old word of psychosomatic that people get labeled with. So by the time they get to me, they're frustrated, they're guarded, they want so much to be heard, but they're guarded. So for me to be able to look at them in the first 5 minutes and say, I know where you've been. I have been there. I have been the doctor and the patient in that world. And the doctors were doing their best. They were doing their best with what they had, the knowledge they had, and the very limited and decreasing time they had. But without time, and I have 2 hours for an intake, without that time, you can't get at root cause. So back to what I invite them to, as soon as I meet them, I invite them to be an expert at the table. I'm not the expert. You are, Henry. You know your body like no one else. You know that all the systems in your body are connected. When one thing goes out of whack, it takes something else out of whack. So you are an expert at the table. Don't call me doctor, call me Francis, because you're an expert here. And so what that brings is quite a responsibility on your part, Henry, at the table, is I need your intuition. I need to know, as we uncover some of these root causes, peel back this onion, you're better and better able to listen to your body signals. When something comes to you, please don't hold it in. You will be listened to here. I will not roll my eyes, and it will inform our next step of our path. So They're not used to being invited to the table. They're not used to having their intuition valued. They're used to having eyes rolled at them and told it's all in their head. So simply listening is honestly the biggest thing I do.
Really neat. I know you share some with me. Share, not obviously not names, but a story or two or three quickly about someone that came in, they were having this issue for a long period of time, and after getting with you and taking the steps they needed to take, things got better.
Oh, there's so many of those. Wow. Okay, I wish I had somebody in my mind immediately, but the one that
Well,
jumps
almost
to
every patient, from what I hear, because you keep getting more referrals till
yeah,
you're filled
yeah.
up.
It takes hard work. Not everybody's up for that work. So for the people that buy in, want to take responsibility and have to make some really big changes, yes, we see huge results. Let me think here. I'm gonna shoot. I wish I had this in my brain before we started of a classic patient, but I have many that come with a lot of them have
Talk in
auto.
general. In general,
Yes,
yeah. Yeah.
yes. In general, I'll have a large proportion are people that come in with different symptoms that reflect their body out of balance. And I'm going to specifically talk about autoimmune disease. So, autoimmune disease, the body's doing its damnedest to stay in balance. It used to be really good at that, but in the world where we live, it's not so good at that. It's hard to keep up. So, people will come in with a blend of headache, fatigue, brain fog. My belly doesn't feel right. My joints hurt. I'm having diarrhea sometimes and constipation sometimes. My moods are wonky. I'm irritable. I can't sleep. Some combination of all of that. And so then we get down to it like, okay, let's start from the beginning. And the most powerful question usually is, I felt fine until blank. And we don't always find that blank the first visit. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out what was that pivot point in their life, but we have to find that pivot point. And then we need to look back in their entire life. So once we do all that and figure out what are the factors, is it a food? Was it childhood trauma? It's usually a combination of something. Did I get whiplash in that car accident when I was 20 years old and then got Crohn's disease a year later? So once we figure out those points, deal with them, whatever they happen to be, and give the body what it needs, the body can find balance. So I've seen someone reverse autoimmune Hashimoto's where the body makes a mistake and thinks that your thyroid sitting here is a foreign body and starts to attack it. I've seen one patient reverse it in 3 months. I've never seen it that fast. Like labs starting to go to normal, she's feeling better. I tell people you got to get to at least 90 days before you start to feel the shift. Damn if she hadn't put herself into full remission in 3 months. That's the quickest I've seen. Anywhere from, depending on the issues are broad. Some of them are very difficult, like mold. If someone is living in a house full of mold and they are one of the unfortunate few that mold makes them sick, that takes years to get it out of the body, and you must get out of the source. So the time course is very different for depending on what the issue is underneath.
All right. All right. Let's jump back to, I guess, the business of your profession, because I don't know if you were literally incorporated or if it's a sole proprietorship, but what was it like when you said, okay, I'm going to open my doors here. Is anybody going to come in? I've got to sign this rent. I have to buy some things, presumably, and I had to quit my other job. And then look at how wonderful it's going.
It was scary, Henry. It was scary. I had avoided that piece for years and had just been totally blessed to work with amazing doctors who were also amazing businesswomen. So they handled that piece so I could do what I do best and like best. So to jump into business on my own, we're an LLC. I'm the only owner and I will only ever be the only owner. It was scary. So luckily I've been supported on all sides and especially by my patients. So patients that have known me in functional medicine since 2017, I had patients that found me that used to be my primary care patients back before functional medicine. They found out I was practicing, they had been wondering where I was, and they found me. So I've just been supported by a huge cheering squad from my patients, my health coach that I mentioned. I have a wonderful admin. We're a trio. We're a trio of 3 women who really, we each have each other's backs. So the things that scared me, I could offload. So I think that's, as I'm sure you know in business, I know you know this way better than I. Having people that have your back and have their own area of expertise, releasing them to do it without micromanaging, trusting them that they've got their backs. For example, Kathy, my admin, she's a tech goddess. Tech is my nemesis. So all things tech, she knows she's got my back and she does it. So I can just release it. I have an excellent bookkeeper and accountant that I trust implicitly. I've known them for many years. So I release the things that are not my strong suit. My strong suit is being with people. I try and run a business by having people around me that are experts in what they do. And I'll include my health coach on that. She has large pieces. I can't do what I do without her. She's my secret sauce. But I completely released her in her area of expertise. So that's what makes it work.
Oh, that's terrific. And yeah, a lot of good, solid MBA business practices taught right there. You figured it out on your own without the MBA, which is what most entrepreneurs do. Most entrepreneurs are probably not MBAs. I don't really know the stats, but then let's talk about your other entrepreneurial venture, which is newer than 2017. I'll let you explain it.
So Stribling Springs Wellness came into being in 2024. My concussion doctor came into being right about the same time, actually. And there I actually have the luxury of having a colleague who is a brilliant businessman. Dr. Baric is a chiropractor and neurofeedback expert in town and entrepreneur extraordinaire. So he has been running businesses for years. So there in that company, I am able to do what I do best, and I don't have to do much of the business piece, which is lovely. So that frees me up to meet with people, spread the word, have parent nights, meet with doctors, meet with practitioners, meet with soccer coaches, spread the word of what really is now cutting edge in concussion that no one knows. In that realm, I'm able to be in my happy place of talking with people, connecting with people, and research. I'm a research geek too. So there's the extrovert side of me. I love being with people. Then there's the introvert research geek. I love researching. So many hours of research between Dr. Baric and myself led to the formulation of our product, Concussion 911, really meant to be taken in the first hours after a head impact or whiplash. So it's that company is growing rapidly and we're spreading the word. Education really is front and foremost with that company. And that's where I see my role, and formulation, creating the formula and gathering the science to back it.
If someone wanted to learn more about that, where would they go? A website? And the same thing
Yeah,
with your
my
practice. How would they find you? Yeah.
it's myconcussiondoctor.com.
Okay.
And there's great,
MyConcussionDR.com. Yeah.
yeah, if for someone who does bump their head or gets whiplash, the product is there. It's also on Amazon Prime. We can talk about that later, but there's also just a lot of good educational things. We have provider partners on there. So for example, there's a practice here in town called Carolina Functional Neurology Center. They're up and down the East Coast. They are one of our highest level providers of brain rehab, neural rehab after a head hit. People don't realize they need it. Many do. So we have that on our website. We also have some interesting tools that are science-backed, helpful for recovery. So it's a great resource.
Talk about if someone, you have a neighbor there, somewhere close, or maybe someone would fly in, I don't know, or do remote. But if they want to contact you as a doctor for your functional medicine practice, how would they best do that? Is it a website or a phone number?
Yes, it's a website. It's striblingspringswellness.com. There is a contact us thing on there. But what I will say is that if it is a personal recommendation, if you have a friend, Henry, that you need seen, you need to call me or email me. Just because, if a doctor calls me or a current patient wants to refer a friend or family, they are prioritized. So we have a wait list that is prioritized in that way. So again, if your brother hits his head, you call me and he's top of the wait list. So he goes above someone who I don't know.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead, let's dig into the concussion help, for lack of a better word, that you're providing. and want to continue to provide, and talk about that business and what it can do for people and how you learned about it.
That baby was born because my son Bryce had a concussion in June of 2023. So prior to that, I was already working with Dr. Baric. He's seen this for years, and his wheels were already turning at that point, and we were good friends. This idea was already being thought of in his brain. I was watching as I was uncovering, like peeling the onion back on my autoimmune patients. In a significant number of patients, that aha moment, when did things change, was, oh, I had a car accident. And then within a year, that's when, or a month, like people can trace it to a head injury. Ah, I got a head injury in that soccer game. I got a head injury when I fell off the horse, or fell and hit my head, whatever it was. So not infrequently, I would find that one of the root causes of chronic illness was a head hit. So I was learning that as I was learning how to be a functional medicine doctor. Then my son hits his head, bad concussion, and it very poorly handled. He had a textbook concussion. He was unconscious. He's 6'5". He went up, another boy went up to head a ball. They collided heads, and he hit the ground unconscious from a pretty damn high jump for a 6'5" kid. So he was unconscious. He went down. They took him off the field. They checked his eyes and, hey, do you feel okay? Yeah, I feel fine. Do you want to go back in? Wrong question. Of course, the answer on high adrenaline is yeah. So he goes back in the game, and within 3 minutes, he knew something was very wrong with his brain. So he took a knee and went off, and his trajectory in the soccer world changed. My trajectory in my career changed. So we started down the path of who are the top concussion people, current gold standard. And then Rob and I got into a brainstorming session. We knew that there's root causes for everything, right? Just from both of you and I talked about this earlier. He's a chiropractor. Things happen from inside out. There's root causes. I'm a root cause girl. So what's the root cause of concussion? Why? Why do you get headaches? Why can't you look at screens? Why are you fatigued? Why can't you function on a regular basis? Why can't you drive? Why, when you go into Costco and look around, does everything feel all wrong? So as we dove into the research, we realized there were 3 big metabolic symptoms or systems, excuse me, that go wrong within minutes to hours of concussion. And this is not rocket science. This is common sense. So it's very easy to understand. You don't need to be a doctor, not that we're all brilliant, but you don't need to be a rocket scientist to get this. So the first thing that happens, and this is what led to us choosing the different ingredients to go into it, because we were astounded to find out that no one had done this. Come on, this makes perfect sense. Someone must have put this product together. Nope, nobody had. The 3 big things that go out of alignment. Number 1, your brain can no longer use glucose for energy. So that's its preferred source. You drink a Gatorade, your brain has sugar, it's happy. So you can no longer transport glucose when your brain has been hit. That's a problem. So energy shuts down. It's like the hurricane comes through and all the lights go off in your house. So what happens? The refrigerator goes dead. Everything goes dead bad in the refrigerator and it molds. So if you can't get that electricity back on really fast, lots of things go wrong in your house. So think of your house as your whole body, and you can't move out of your body. I'm getting way too geeky here, but I have to go there. Energy is number 1. So if your brain doesn't have the energy to do its regular work of business, inflammation goes up after an injury. Makes sense. And toxins go up. You can't clear them. That's where our brainstorming began, was really targeting those 3 systems and finding things that nature already provides to bring those 3 systems back into balance. And that's what led to the 12 ingredients that are in Concussion 911.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have a somewhat painful story about your son? Thank goodness he got back over that. But do you have some positive stories now with what you've learned, or a general thing that would be different with the use of your product and new company?
I've got 2 examples that come immediately to mind, and they're growing. More and more people now know about this and have it in their pantry. So it's like a fire extinguisher to put out the fire, the small fire in the kitchen before it spreads to the whole body. So two people come to mind immediately. One was one of our first people to adopt this, and this was close to a year ago, maybe now. A local doctor, Dr. Polly Watson, is a very well-known, very well-respected doctor in Raleigh. She's an OBGYN, functional OBGYN now, and loved by her patients. She sustained a motor vehicle accident. She did not hit her head, I don't believe. It was severe whiplash. Within 24 hours, she could not see her patients. If she would look up, she would get dizzy and couldn't function. She couldn't deal with screens, headaches. Her whole life came to a halt. She knew me and she knew Dr. Baric, and she knew what we were up to. So she called Rob, Dr. Baric. He got the product to her ASAP and she started it. And I actually spoke with her very recently, and she described in intimate detail her sense of when she took the product, her symptoms went away at about the 7-hour mark, right before the next one was due. So 3 times a day product intervention, her headaches would start to come back. She'd take it again, the headaches would go away. So within a week, she was back to seeing half of her patient load. Within 2 weeks, she was back to full patient load. So she was our first big testimonial that got us really excited.
Side, just anecdotally in my life, I've heard of parents with kids having, we do so many sports these days, kids do, and concussions and out of school and sometimes important times when they're preparing for college. And so that sets them back from potential scholarships. And a lot of bad things can happen, obviously, with illness, and a concussion can be a bad one.
I'm going to take that one step further, Henry, because it changes the life of that person and their family and the long term of that person. So 2025 study came in out of Finland that an adolescent who sustains one head impact has a 15% less likelihood of going on to secondary education. That changes their lifelong income, career, trajectory, everything. So we know that this is not, you've heard of TBI, traumatic brain injury. It's also a total body injury. It affects the whole body. I won't get into that, but it affects the whole family. So we've started calling it TFI, total family injury, because you've got caregivers who have to take off work. You've got kids that can't get back to school. Yes, and then the long-term trajectory, what are you going to get as a result? It's different for everyone. My son opened up autoimmunity. So he didn't have autoimmunity before his concussion. He got it after. So is it going to open up autoimmunity? Is it going to open up chronic migraines? Are you going to have neurodegenerative disease later down the line and not recognize your children when you're 54? So pick one of these things out of the hat. They're not pretty. So the long-term implications are huge. And you were saying kids, you're right. There's so many populations. It can happen anywhere. So one of my more recent stories was of a 13-year-old girl. I know her mother, and her mother contacted me on a Sunday that her child had gotten a concussion the day before from a kickball game at a church camp. And that ball hit her in the head, and the child did not want to go home, so she didn't call mom. So mom didn't know about it until the day after. She got on our product by that night, 36 hours or so after injury. And within 2 days, her headaches were going away. She could start to return to a little bit of screen time. And within 7 days, all of her symptoms were gone, which had been headache, fatigue, nausea, screen sensitivity. Those were the big ones. All of those pieces left. It turns out that she's still struggling with some immune imbalance that hasn't quite fallen back into place yet. She gets hives, and that started after the concussion. So we can't claim that concussion 911 fixes everything, but it quiets down. It's a tool to quiet down the wheels that go into motion as soon as you hit your head.
Really something. We'll have a different type of fun for a moment because you didn't start out, none of us did, of course, where we are today. So I'm going to share a screen with you pictures of us when we were kids. I'm going to go through them quickly because we don't want to embarrass ourselves too much but can you see this picture now on the screen? Let's see, here we go. Can you see that picture?
Oh, yes. I know right where
Yeah,
that is. That's at Stribling Springs, Henry. That's the
yeah.
farm, name of the farm.
I thought that was appropriate. Your family has a beautiful farm, which we used to go to either as a family all together, or sometimes our brother would go, sometimes I went. And it looks like you were always the smart one there because you figured out there's no water in that boat. So you're not getting in. I'm up front, I don't know, rowing to God knows where, and that's now retired Admiral Danny Redmond in the back. Quite a crew. That's a birthday party. That's also Danny Redmond. That's me, and that's you. I think that's you. Is that you with the cup drinking?
Yes, I know
Oh
that
yeah,
dress.
yeah, yeah. It looked like you. That's us. I guess we're going sledding, although we're not moving much at the moment. But we must have
Yeah,
been.
I think that's on the C&O Canal under Chain Bridge, Henry.
Your father used to take us skating there, and then he probably pulled us on that sled.
Yeah.
Back then, you had those sleds. Now, of course, they were dangerous, so you can't even get them now. But I remember sledding on those things. Here we are at a ski trip that both families went to. I showed this to someone who said it looks like we were having a date. So I guess we were about, what, fourth grade there? Fifth grade? Sixth?
Yes. Yes. Elementary school,
Oh,
definitely.
elementary school. So I don't know that we thought about that as a date, but perhaps you were my first date because that was way back in elementary school.
Wow.
So they gave us our own table because we were the same age and we were just having so much fun together. And this was at what was the name of that ski lodge? Uh,
Alpenhof.
Alpenhof. Yeah. So they had dinner they served every night and breakfast every morning. So this was dinner every night. And there's orange juice. Maybe that was breakfast. I don't know. Anyhow, we're having a lot of fun, whatever we're doing. And here we are looking awkward as teenagers.
Mm.
I just thought that was fun. It's not many people that I have pictures back from the beginning, so to speak.
Yes.
And I miss your mom. It's fun to have seen your dad. Of course,
Mhm.
both my parents are gone, but your brother's gone. But your dad, my gosh, he is
Yeah.
still doing great. So you went from there. You were a good student, as I mentioned, and obviously you must have wanted to help people. You went into medicine. And then I know there's a bit of a journey we can wrap up on is okay, medicine's been evolving and changing.
Mm.
You had some things that you wanted to do differently. Hence sometimes in entrepreneurship, they say, was there a precipitating event or was it a lifelong goal? And I would say it wasn't a lifelong goal for you to become an entrepreneur. I
No.
think it was maybe a series of precipitating events is which I want to make a change, as you said, so I can express myself more fully in my way with my patients. That's my summary of what you said. But tell me
Mhm.
how you in 2024 started your own practice. In 2017, I guess, was the start of the functional medicine journey. And what led, you already mentioned some things, there's limitations on modern medicine, but we could dig in a little more if you'd like to.
I'd love to because there's some things people need to know that they themselves can have an impact on their health, the health of our planet and our world. I went into medicine for the same reason that really the vast majority of doctors do. Not for the money. Doctors don't go into it for the money, the vast majority. Maybe there's a few. But most go into it for really wanting to make a difference in the world and wanting to have impact on either helping to guide someone back to health and wellness or having impact in the advancement of medical science. So that's why I went into medicine. And as I went through medical school, I found out that what really got me going was when there's a mystery that needed to be solved. That I liked because I was always the little kid that asked why. So that led me in two directions in infectious disease, which this was the time when we were just figuring out HIV. And there were all sorts of there's always all sorts of interesting infections that we need to figure out what to do about them and how to live with them and cure some of them. So infectious disease and also primary care medicine. You're just your regular doctor. So I did both. Very quickly when I got into practice, it was already happening. I didn't know it was happening, but it was already, is that the wheels were turning, that the practice of medicine, and I'm going to talk specifically about primary care again, not the brilliance of the other parts of medicine that I mentioned before. That was progressing and amazing. It just serves people in an incredible way. But primary care prevention was becoming very dysfunctional. And I felt it in that as little practices were getting gobbled up by big corporate medicine, as insurance corporations were driving the pricing, my time with my patient got less and less. So I didn't have the time with my patient to be able to solve that mystery. There goes the joy of medicine. So that happened. And the other thing that was quietly happening literally beneath my feet that I had no idea about at the time, was that had been happening for, decades, was that our food system was being quietly changed to benefit neither the consumer, us at the grocery store, nor the farmer. And you probably know this story, Henry, but for people that don't, they need to know it. And if you want to get more information, watch the movie Common Ground. So little by little, the influence of big corporation, big ag, think Roundup. I won't mention the company, but think Roundup. So transform traditional farming to mass farming. So think huge farms with lots of pesticides, herbicides, tilling practices that destroy the soil. So the food that was coming to you and to me, and the goldfish I was feeding my kids, I had no idea, was frankly toxic. So people are getting sicker and sicker. You watch autoimmunity go up over this period of time. And this had already happened by the time you and I were kids, Henry, right? We're eating Frosted Flakes and stuff that is not the same food as 100 years ago. So what that means is the system is stacked against us as consumers, patients, stacked against doctors, and stacked against farmers. The people become sick, the farmer becomes poor because he has to pay for Roundup, GMO seeds from the same company, by the way, that's no secret and no surprise. So our food chain was destroyed and we became sicker in the process. So then we have other people benefiting, and you need a Band-Aid to treat that symptom. My stomach doesn't feel so good. And that medicine, I'm just going to say Prilosec or whatever the medicine is that's used to treat the symptom, creates its own problem. And that needs a Band-Aid. So big ag, big pharma, insurance, they are laughing all the way to the bank. And we're getting sicker, and farmers are getting poorer, and doctors are getting sicker and more frustrated. So I hit a wall in 2016. So in 2016, I had, prior to that, at least 10 years of the joints of my hands swelling for no reason, swell and hurt. I didn't understand what that was. And traditional medicine couldn't tell me. They had a drug for that. Great. They said, it's not rheumatoid arthritis. Here, just take this drug. It'll be fine. Okay. My joints were swelling, and by 2016, with 13 minutes per patient, no time with family, me not doing well physically, insomnia set in, my joints are hurting. My blood pressure one day in the office was 190/95. My blood pressure now is 118/70. No meds. I take no meds for that. I became irritable around the dinner table. Kids, I'm sorry. I have 3 children, single mom. Kids, I'm sorry. This is not you, it's me. Mom's irritable. Mom needs a timeout. I need to put myself in a timeout. So things were going very wrong. And I found a door out in the most unlikely of places. And this was in 2016. I went to a conference, infectious disease conference, and I'm sitting listening to this amazing speaker talk about something that I, as an infectious disease doctor, had never heard before, that the links between changes in the bacteria in our gut, our intestinal tract, our microbiome, were intimately linked to almost every one of these chronic diseases, from obesity to diabetes to autoimmune to Alzheimer's. Like, what? I was trained at a top institution in infectious disease. Why did I not hear this? So I knew I had missed the boat. So within 6 months, I was already training in functional medicine because they got it. They're the ones that were like screaming from the parapets that this is what's going on. So I started training in functional medicine, proceeding to get certified, quit my job, and joined a functional medicine practice. Yeah, I know that's a really long story, but it's one that people need to know, because we are being made sick by toxins in our food, in our air, in our toxic news, toxic everything. So there are steps we need to take to remedy that. And I was unable to guide my patients or help them at all with my traditional medicine knowledge. I used my traditional medicine knowledge, which I'm so thankful for. And then I added on this next layer, and then I learned how to listen. And I made my own practice so that I would have the time to do that.
Very inspiring. We've kept up a lot over the years, and a lot of times through our parents as well, but I don't know that we're all busy living separate places. I don't know that you went through that. So I'm so glad that you are where you are now. And congratulations. And I know that you and your family and the world are better off because of it. Maybe that's a good place to wrap up and just say, hey, I'm so glad you came on. I know people are going to be interested, and I wish you so much luck in both of your new ventures, I guess I'll call them, for your medical practice and functional medicine practice and your new product. And both are pretty new too.
Yes.
So to the waiting list doctor, nice to see you and thank you.
Thank you, Henry.